So your customer wants you to apply a global CSS style sheet to the whole of your tenancy. How can you do that? Using an application customizer. So as mentioned on the outset, we're going to develop an application customizer that allows you to apply a global CSS file to the whole of your tenancy. Let's dive straight in.
So, as you can see, I have a nice bright red bar on my site. Not really what you want, but it is illustrating that I'm applying styles across the site. If we have a look in the site contents, you'll see that under the style library, I've created a global.css. And I've set the app bar. If you want to see more about how to find that, see last episode. But I've set the app bar with the background color red. Okay, not the nicest thing, but it works for this demonstration. So let's go back to the code. So in the code, I've got my solution. I've got it that on the customizer, what it does is I've got a property called CSS URL. When we start up the project, we simply go through and say, if this property exists, then add it to the head of the site as a style sheet link. So this global.css can be applied across the whole tenant. Okay, in the serve file, well, what I've gone and done is I've put my local SharePoint instance, this would be yours, in there. And I've also pointed to where is the CSS. Well, it's in style library global.css. So let's give this a run and let's see what happens. Do I want to load debug scripts? Yes, I do. And there, it's running it as red, as we would expect. Okay, so I'm going to stop that. And now I just need to do something very important before we deploy this. And that's I need to look in the elements file. And notice in the elements file, I've still left in my properties from before. Well, this is the default property that is uploaded to the application. So I need to change this one to CSS URL. This was the name of the property that we were passing in here. CSS URL. And I need to change it to the default path. Now I'm going to say the root, I'm going to do style %20 library, so I'm encoding it, global.css, and this will now point to my correct file by default. So what are we doing again? When we load it up, we're simply finding out that CSS property, we're putting a new custom style sheet header into every page that we hit, and it will override using those styles. If we look at the style sheet that we've created, we'll see we're setting that nav bar to red. What I'm going to do is now package this up by doing gulp bundle production. I'm going to package solution production, and in my SharePoint folder I'll now have my CSS package in there, which I can drag into my app catalog. Now, speaking of which, if I'm going to change this to blue, I'm going to go into our admin. I'm going to go more features. I'm going to go to apps. I'm going to go app catalog and distribute apps for SharePoint. Here's where I dragged it up earlier into here. But what I want to do is I want to go to files and I want to manage installed apps and look at the tenant-wide extensions. And you'll notice there for the CSS, it's got the default CSS URL to global.css. So you could easily disable this by removing that or pointing to a different CSS file. Okay, so now I've done that. If I go to my home site and run it and refresh it, you'll now see it's changed from red to blue. So now we can do more with that. We can look at different elements of the page. For example, we can inspect all kinds of things here. Let's have a look. We'll inspect the search bar and we'll see that that's got its own IDs, like the top level region, for example, is on there. Or we've got the nav header, Office 365 nav header. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go to my site contents. I'm going to go to Style Library, Global.css, edit that, put another entry in, this time for the nav header, and I'm going to change the background color of that one to yellow. Why not? I'm going to save that. I'm going to go back to our main site. I'm going to refresh the page to load in the style sheet, and I've destroyed my SharePoint. Be very careful, but you can really add your own custom styles in here.
Well, I hope you found that useful. Now when your customer makes demands on the look and feel of a site, you'll know what to do. If you haven't done already, please click subscribe and the notification icon. We'll see you next time.